Hello and welcome to Somewhere on the Spectrum. Last week, we were talking about the challenging trait of our sense of justice. And this week, I want to look at someone with a very, very strong sense of justice who is extremely inspirational. Greta Tintin Eleonora Ernman Thunberg, pronounced Greta Thunberg in Swedish, probably messed that up, sorry. Aged 21 now, and she is an activist. What a long name. I'm sure everybody thinks like that when they see the Wikipedia post. Whoa, what a name. Greta, of course, is famous for starting the school strike in 2018, aged 15, by protesting outside of the Swedish parliament. In 2018, she addressed the UN Climate Change Conference, and the school movement grew. So how has autism impacted Greta's activism? It's not hyperbole to say that it is the center of her activism. Greta learned about climate change when she was 8 years old. And by the time she was 11, she had pretty much stopped talking and was eating very, very little. She had depression for 4 years before beginning the school strike. So it was very much impacting her life. She was diagnosed with autism and OCD and selective mutism. Greta has said that many people in the school strike movement, or Fridays for Future, are autistic, and it's an inclusive and welcoming movement. She thinks this is because people with autism can't look away from the problem, and when they join the movement, they find purpose, friendship, and community. So let's take a second and just look at the autistic traits that might be driving Greta's activism. Of course, we have her very, very strong sense of justice, and that covers all different areas. We're going to come back to that in a second. In Greta's actions, we can see her black and white thinking and her hyper focus. She pushed her family to go vegan, to upcycle, and to stop flying, even though that was going to impact her mum's job. Eventually, they decided to do all of those things, and having them accept that as part of their lives gave Greta energy, hope, and belief that she could make a difference. Greta is known for speaking truth to power, and being able to do this, it is sort of essential that you're not bothered by hierarchy. So that idea that certain people are at certain levels, and if you're at a lower rung of the level, you shouldn't speak in a certain way to the people at the top of the level. Think about when she went to the UN climate conference, most of the people there were world leaders, and she famously told them, "How dare you?" If you get a chance, go back and watch that speech. The emotion with which she spoke, I think, kind of broke the internet at the time. But one of the reasons why it was so effective was because we had a child, and although she was 15, she was quite a petite child, so she looked very young. We had a child telling global leaders that they sucked, basically. And so many of us agreed with her very much, but the shocking part for the media was, how could this child do this? A lack of acceptance of those social expectations of hierarchy is part of the reason, I think, that she became so famous. We can also see her persistence with things. And this is really common for autistic people, to just keep going with something. She's stuck by her beliefs, even when she's been arrested, when the global media and leaders bullied her. She sailed to America because she didn't want to fly, despite really bad seasickness, to stick by her morals and her ethics. And I think a lot of people, again, were really shocked by that. So in Greta, we see repeatedly her sticking by her ideals, her moral compass. And I think one of the reasons why this really affects people is because we don't really see that in the world at the moment. We have a lot of leaders in very high positions with a great deal of power who change their minds all the time, to the point that we could say they're actively unpredictable in exactly the roles that should be boringly predictable. So to have this very young person not really be impacted by what anybody says she should be doing, or she's doing this wrong, or she should go about it in a different way, or no, she's just doing her thing, keeping going. And I think that really speaks to a lot of people. I think they feel security in that, comfort in that, but I think they also find her incredibly inspiring because of that. So coming back to her sense of justice, this is very much tied into a general moral compass. And I think that's often the case, not always. We do have bad autistic people, of course, it happens. But I think a lot of autistic people have this very strong moral compass. I'd be curious to know what you think. But for me, I feel like, why does religion exist? Do you guys need a book to tell you what's right and wrong? I don't need a book. It's really obvious to me what's right and wrong. So to have someone say, oh, but there's nuance in that, or there's gray areas, it doesn't really fit with my moral compass. Because of my black and white thinking, my moral compass is very, very clear and sure. And I think that's the same for Greta. And now that we can see that she's embracing the Free Palestine movement, we can see actively the media is turning against her because of her embracing the Free Palestine movement. Certainly other people are turning against her, countries, specific ones, are turning against her. And that doesn't change anything. She's still doing her climate work, and she's still advocating for justice, and she's still working with Indigenous peoples around the world, because that's the center of her moral compass. Genocide. I mean, why is it surprising? I don't understand. Why is it surprising that genocide doesn't click with our moral compass? Like, I feel like that's dumb. Is that dumb? It seems to me very obvious that if you have a strong moral compass, you would be against genocide. Like, it's still very shocking and surprising to me that even definitely in my country, at a national level, at a governmental level, this doesn't seem to compute. It's a mystery. I mean, yay for my autism, I guess. So anyway, one of the downsides to Greta's autism has been that she has often been infantilized. And we see this a lot with autistic people. This assumption that because you're autistic, you can't have a sex life, you can't get married, you can't have kids, you can't make adult decisions. And of course, it's a load of baloney, obviously. I think maybe because Greta looked so young when she started, she's been dismissed by the media. She's really had this, oh, what a naive little girl kind of condescension put upon her, and the way that she's been talked about quite regularly. But I think at this point we can say that she has proven herself with very successful speeches, building more than one movement, I think we can say at this point, very successful publications going out into the world. She's now doing podcasts, which is very cool, and some really cool Twitter wars with Trump, and more recently landing Andrew Tate in jail. I mean, she didn't even try. He did it all by himself. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen on the internet. And I am very, very grateful that she single-handedly sort of brought down Andrew Tate, and long may he be in jail. I would say in general, I wanted to talk about Greta because I think she is a very inspiring person. I have a plan to tell you about many other inspiring people in the future, but I think Greta's kind of an obvious place to start. The key point here, of course, is to try and always use your powers for good. And I know it's really exhausting right now in the world. And remember, it's definitely okay to turn off your phone. It's definitely okay to not click on that video on YouTube. We have to protect ourselves. You know, really, neurotypical people can watch some of that stuff and cope with it a little better than we can sometimes. We do have to protect ourselves. We are necessary for the future. Our sense of justice is going to become more and more important for the future. So we need to embrace it, and we need to harness it like Greta has done. But it has to come with balances, like we talked about last week. It has to come with a balance to protect ourselves and protect our spoons, because it's really exciting and inspiring to push yourself into changing the world, but you burn out really, really fast, and then you can't do anything. Then you can't make a difference in any way. And I tell you this from personal experience. So protect yourself, look after yourself, be nice to yourself. Before we end, I would like to make a suggestion. There is a video, I will post it, you'll be able to click on it at the end of this video, of Greta laughing. Greta came on a TV show in the UK, and the comedian on there got her to laugh. I have never heard anything so cool as, why am I getting emotional now? Greta Thunberg laughing. Like, why wouldn't you want to make Greta laugh? Why would you want to make her angry when you can make her laugh? It is the best sound in the world. Perhaps because we always see her fighting for justice, trying to save our little blue dot. Hearing her laugh, it's just the coolest thing ever. It's delightful. It's absolutely delightful. I would suggest you go watch this video and watch Greta laugh, and you won't be able to help yourself. You'll be laughing too, and that will be good for you. Okay, hope this was useful. See you next time. Bye.